All right, welcome back to Spiritual Insurgency. Bill Maher taking interest in Christians in Nigeria, standing up for Christians. Why does nobody care? Aaron, you got the story. Go for it.
Fox News is reporting Bill Maher claims slaughter of Christians in Nigeria being ignored because the Jews aren't involved. Maher argues the killing of Christians in Nigeria is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. I was just joking off air with the guys a moment ago. I think I'm going to see Bill Maher become a Christian in my lifetime. One credit, he laughs, but Saul also became Paul, and the greatest persecutor of Christians became the greatest writer in the New Testament. There is hope for Bill. Bill, the way I've been following Bill since probably 2001. And one thing that I'll give him credit for is that to a great degree, he is an open-minded guy. He is not a parrot of the left. He is an independent thinker, and he will brush up against the left when necessary. And because of that independent spirit in Bill, I think there's hope for America, because I think Bill represents a huge swath of America that can be open to the truth. But we're talking about Nigeria. So what is actually going on in Nigeria? Because I've always said this for forever, that America simply just doesn't care about Africa. Anything that happens sensational in Africa just always seems to be thrown under the rug. It seems to be sin by omission. There really isn't any concern for what happens. And I'm going to get into it right now. So what you have is Boko Haram. There's tremendous amount of terrorist activity that's happening in Nigeria, where they're basically slaughtering Christians wholesale en masse right now. And the world is really silent about this. And I find it ironic because in the United States of America, we have what arguably 70 to 80% of our population that claims to be Bible-believing Sunday church attendees, but yet you can have tens of thousands of Christians getting slaughtered and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, isn't the mayor where we live here in Colorado Springs from Nigeria and supposed to be a Christian? He's from Lagos. Lagos, I say it right?
The Legoland.
Of Nigeria. And I was just thinking about it. I haven't heard him say anything either about this. This really is an unspoken thing. It isn't. That's where he's from, and he's a pastor, a Christian pastor and stuff too, huh?
Is that true, Jason? Mayor Mobilati of Colorado Springs is from Nigeria?
I believe so.
I think it's Lagos. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I was just thinking about it when you said that. Now you're like, nobody's saying nothing about it, and he's
Nigerian American,
and he's supposed to be a Christian pastor, so even he hasn't said nothing as far as I know, has he?
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't believe that he's made a statement on anything going on in Nigeria. In fact, I believe that he purposefully tried to hide his background as a Nigerian-born American. I don't think that he wanted that coming up in the midst of the election cycle. But, there's a whole lot of things that he probably didn't want coming public, including the fact that he pulled a Jesse Smollett.
Yeah. I was saying interesting, though, that he's from there and supposed to be a Christian pastor, and I haven't heard.
So what's actually happening? There's targeted attacks, kidnappings, church burnings. You have Boko Haram, the ISWAP, and a militant Fulani.
What's Boko Haram?
These are terror organizations. Okay. If my memory serves me correctly, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama's half-brother, was connected to the Boko Haram terror organization, if I'm not mistaken. But check me on that. I think Breitbart exposed that in the 2000s. You also have widespread perception that federal and local authorities are either unwilling or unable to protect Christian populations. You have forced displacement, mass internal displacement of Christian families, leading to a humanitarian crisis of loss of land, livelihood, and stability. You have targeted abductions for ransom or conversion. They're abducting Christian school children, women, and clergy, forcing them to convert to Wahhabist Islam, and then they're being forced into slavery and financial extortion. We're experiencing in Nigeria the destruction of churches and holy sites, deliberate vandalism and destruction of churches, places of worship, erasing religious presence, and there to intimidate believers. International silence and hypocrisy. There's just a a lack of intervention and condemnation from Western nations, even from faith-based groups, despite clear evidence of violence targeting the church. And then as a result, this is just fueling international terror networks and jihadist ideology. And I think that now is the time for a call to point our attention to Nigeria, obviously pray. But I went ahead and looked to see, just kind of in the corporate Google News universe, sort of what is the temperament and the corporate media. And there's actually an article that's indicating that there might be some attention being given by the Trump administration. This is from Newsweek.com. The Trump administration is, quote, deeply concerned by violence against Christians in Nigeria. This was issued by the State Department, that they are deeply concerned about the levels of violence against Christians and members of other groups in Nigeria. What I would like to see is all international attention be put on this, and the question be asked, why is this being allowed? Who's funding this? And what could be done to protect the church in Nigeria? And a lot of times we don't get the information that we want, and we don't get the questions answered that we want, because many times it implicates parties and groups that have skeletons in the closet.
Has the Pope said anything? That new Pope guy?
That's a great question.
Actually, I'm just curious because Pope, what was his name again?
Leo. The Bears.
The Bears. Leo. Oh my God. Man.
Well, I'm just Googling Nigeria Pope just to kind of see.
I'm just curious if he's said anything or done anything, or is he just sending the old maybe hopes and prayers?
Yeah, there's an article that was from 2 weeks ago. We thank God, Apostolic Nuncios in South Africa and Nigeria. No, this is not. I don't see any.
Nothing.
July 1st, 2025, Fox News, Pope Leo declared during a recent address to thousands at the Vatican that some 200 people were murdered with extraordinary cruelty, referring to an attack by Islamist militants in Nigeria. So back in July, and again...
Just repeated the news cycle, and that's it. He just said there's a thing happening.
There's a thing happening, yeah.
I repeated what the news it reported to me said, and look at me, I care.
I'm meeting my obligatory public relations requirements as a faith leader.
Take pictures with strangers and not really care and repeat something.
June 15th, he said he's praying that security, justice, and peace may prevail in Nigeria, calling out rural Christian communities that have been continually victims of violence. June 15th through the 17th, on the Benue massacre, after reports that around 200 people were killed in Yawada. The Pope prayed for victims at the Angelus and condemned the terrible massacre. Vatican outlets amplified the appeal and follow-ups. June 2025, Nigerian bishops' response. Church leaders in Nigeria publicly thanked the Pope for promptly condemning the killings and for his prayers, while also criticizing the authorities' handling of the violence. In previous years, Pope Francis repeatedly condemned attacks and offered prayers for Nigerian Christians, including after the Pentecost Sunday massacre in Owu, Ondo State in June 5th of 2022.
Yeah, I think if the Pope had anything, doesn't he have a pretty good security detail? He'd send some security detail or something over there, or some funding or some armament or something. That would suck, dude. You go to mass and it just turns into a massacre. I'd be pretty aggravated, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
not a very good way to go about it.
I just look at these events that take place in the news, this violence against Christians in Nigeria, the violence
even in the States
against Christians in Gaza, right? And all of this is being done under the nose of what is known as the world superpower, right? We are the policemen of the world. We are in arguably a unipolar world. The United States sits on the top, and we claim to be a 70+% Christian nation, and the majority of our country goes to church. So how is it that that's the case, yet you have the Israeli Defense Forces disseminating Gaza, mass exterminating hundreds of thousands, I should say tens of thousands of Christians, potentially hundreds of thousands of Christians? It's not a news story. You go to Nigeria, you have hundreds of thousands of Christians getting massacred, not a news story. In the United States of America, a country that claims to be a Christian nation. All I can say to that is a verse that I read in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. I believe this is a powerful call for believers to separate themselves from these systems. We are not of this world. We are not citizens of the United States of America for eternity. We're citizens of the kingdom of God. And if this is happening to our eternal kingdom and to our eternal brothers and sisters, who are we? Which kingdom do we belong to? Because if you're a Christian and you're watching this happen and you're staying quiet, I think you're of this world. I don't think you're of the world and the kingdom that's coming. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's devastating how much has gone on in Africa that's not been reported on because, plain and simple, it's not the Middle East. And I've been saying it for a long time. I mean, the Boko Haram have been extremely active across Africa in slaughtering Christians and in wreaking havoc in these places, funded by ISIS. I mean, Boko Haram has been funded by ISIS. In fact, it's, I think, essentially the ISIS terrorist group's, affiliation in Africa. So, we focus on terrorism in the Middle East because I think it played this giant purpose in the American public, especially during, 2001 and during the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq. It put so much attention on the Middle East that we forgot about the rest of the world. And, the question boils back down to, was it all about oil? I mean, that's the question we've all been asking for the last 2 decades. Is it all about oil? Is it all about minerals? Is it all about rights for, commodities?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
That's what it's boiling down to with the Ukrainian situation too. I mean, you have to ask that question as well. And Ukraine has taken some interesting leaps in just the last couple weeks. They're increasing the amount of prisoners that they're recruiting to the Ukrainian army. I don't know if you've heard about this, but they're using prisoners, sometimes murderers, and they're saying, hey, if you go fight on the front lines, the most dangerous aspect of it, and you survive, we'll put you on probation.
Yeah, well, we were talking about why nobody cares about Nigeria, and because it's not in the Middle East. Nigeria is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Nigeria is rich in resources. One of the things that you can look at, tin, columbite, and tantalum, often sourced for tech manufacturing.
Tantalum? I don't even heard of it.
I don't even know what these are, but these are resources and minerals that are used for manufacturing technology parts.
Okay.
Now,
Beep, bop, boop and stuff.
Beep, bop, boop. And so what is that telling us? Well, we are on the verge of an AI revolution. Artificial intelligence does require a tremendous amount of resources, electricity.
A lot of power, dude. A lot of electricity, a lot of power.
I mean, right now, I think they're buying up land and undergoing major construction operations in the interior right now. But this is going to need to be supplied by natural resources and minerals. And so one must look to see where are they going to be getting these resources.
That's crazy. I was thinking about that just now. The more AI, the more utilities cost, it seems like. Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy. I wonder if that's any kind of correlation together. Speaking of which, continue with your weird named resources for technology stuff.
Well, let's let them not be weird names. I mean, I don't know them either. Tin and columbite, what does it do? It's mined mainly in the Jos Plateau.
So it's a conductor, I'm assuming?
Columbite is a source of niobium. It's used in alloys and electronics.
Okay.
So you're going to need some of this tin and this columbite to support your AI revolution. Nigeria has vast natural gas reserves, often associated with oil deposits. It has one of the largest proven gas reserves globally. So it remains underdeveloped relative to its potential. Gold has been found in several states throughout Nigeria. Lead and zinc, their deposits are present, often mined along those other materials, and there's a great resource of agriculture there. Nigeria is a major producer of cocoa, palm oil, rubber, cotton, timber. Guys, these wars, the kidnappings, the violence, the displacements have always been about the monopoly power of a select few to control the resources of this planet and to consolidate power. They've been doing it since the Old Testament times. They've been doing it throughout human history. They're doing it today. The only difference now is it's a high-tech version.
Well, I mean, and you look at things that we haven't talked about, right? Lithium found primarily in South America. huge amounts in Argentina, right? Lithium is becoming a huge necessity in the electric car revolution and in a lot of our products. And so do we start to see some fighting and some wars over lithium?
The lithium wars.
Cobalt.
The cobalt wars are coming.
Cobalt is primarily found in the Congo.
Is that like bum wars?
Congo has the largest exports of cobalt in the world. And cobalt is extremely important in a lot of the technological advances that we have. And so we're seeing mining of these rare minerals across the world, across the globe, that is going to be important in the continuing advancement of technology.